Aloha no kuaina, mai kauka o manana, ahiki ke
Creation Migration Change, a Native arts gathering, was convened on February 8th and 9th, 2009, in Squaxin Island's traditional tribal territories near Shelton, Washington. This unique gathering brought together 60 Native artists, cultural workers, and arts administrators representing 38 different tribal nations from 14 different states and 4 countries. Participants represented a wide diversity of artistic expression, creativity, gender, age range, and residential locations, including rural, reservation, and urban settings. Creation Migration Change was organized by the Seventh Generation Fund for Indian Development in partnership with the Longhouse Project of Evergreen State College, First Peoples Fund, and the Maine Indian Basketmakers Alliance.
When the great creator created this area, he looked about and thought this was very beautiful water and mountains and trees. Now I have to have people. So he got real busy and he started developing the people. He worked and he worked. And now everything was, he created this whole village and he thought, well, now I'm going to go on to make another because I have a lot of land to cover. And so that's what he did. But he said, before I go any farther than this, what I'm going to have to do is go up on the mountain. I'm going to watch these people. I'm going to see what they do, how they handle life. And if something is going wrong, well, then you see, I'm going to have to make adjustments right here. And that's what he did.
What I found that is each of us is doing our own work in our own place, within our own selves too. But that collectively, we are an incredible voice. That our voice is together because where we come from, a lot of us are sometimes only 1% of the total population, if that at all. But all together, and especially as artists, as these visionaries that I talked about, especially as artists, we bring something to the world that at some level I think reminds us all that we are participants in a universe where we are literally co-creators with the divine, Kakunukmawa, whatever name you call it, that we are co-creators.
We have a very high order of morality, not only in our language, but in our culture and in our art. Because we're the spokespeople for, our culture.
The story about the dragonfly. The change of the dragonfly in its form from a metamorphosis state into a dragonfly brought to the people, whether they were the Cheyennes or the Lakotas, that this was a concept that was sacred and that it was connected to medicine. All right? And so that's why they adapted the dragonfly to the concept of who they were.
For the past 100 years or so, there's been significant change in all of our communities. Boarding school is probably the major perpetrator of a lot of that change. But intertribal marriages, the migrations, the relocation programs, all of which brought a lot of change in our communities and communities that we may find ourselves in now. And the conversation today is going to focus a lot on that changing demographics and how does it affect creative thought and how does it affect the authenticity, if you will, of Native thinking and Native creative thought.
Part of the reason that I work so hard is activism and the art and all is because I want a tribe. And where are we? We are so scattered, we are so dismantled because we were struck so early on by Europeans, by my ancestors, the other half of my ancestors, that I don't want to be an individual.
This is the first stone bowl made by somebody in my tribe in 200 years. I was walking through a museum, totally ignorant, and I went, oh wow, there's a stone bowl made by someone in my tribe. We don't do that anymore. I guess I will. So I did.
Even for a city Indian, we're driving through the city. I still see the trees, I still see the mountains. It was a Northern California native who really helped finalize how I feel, and that was Brian Tripp, because he always talked about, oh, we natives, everyone says we live in two worlds. How can we do that? You know, he says we live in one world, it's the Indian world. And for a long time I didn't understand that. And then a small event happened with a bird, a blue jay, that saw a plastic broken flower pot as dirt to plant his acorns. And then I realized what Brian said, that, you know, that bird sees this as a place to put his acorns, doesn't see it as a broken plastic flower pot. And I realized then a whole lot more. You know, I was able to really become whole.